Hey, here's a huge story that few dinosaur media outlets care to cover. 14 Amish families in Michigan are struggling to keep their homes. Now, why is this happening? Because the bureaucrats in the county don't approve of the fact that these religious folks who issue electricity and running water live in homes that don't conform to so-called codes. In other words, this is actually a massive American battle between property rights and religious freedom on one side and government control on the other. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV. Absolutely, this reads like the plot of a film. Amish families, 14 of them, living in a very rural area in Michigan, trying to live in peace, not harming anyone, are set upon by bureaucrats from the concrete jungle of government, and they have to work with legal eagles, the attorneys, to save their homes, maintain their way of life, and practice their religion. But that is actually what is happening, as the Lenawee County, Michigan Health Department recently posted signs on the land condemning the houses of these 14 families, and they are now suing to destroy the houses, as Spencer Durham explains for the Daily Telegram via the Detroit Free Press. The health department has filed lawsuits against the owners of the properties for what it calls a lack of adequate water and sewer systems, which appears to be a pretty big red flag telling us that someone in the bureaucracy either doesn't understand the Amish lifestyle and the principles of their religious freedom and private property rights, or they do understand these things and they completely choose to disregard them in favor of politically created rules that they will foist upon these people. Don't most adults know by now that the Amish use old order technology like hand pumps for water and outhouses for human waste and carriages and horses rather than cars? And in fact, no neighbor has filed any action for damages against these 14 families. In fact, neighbors are sparse in this rural area. I know because I've been through it numerous times. Yet, in fact, as Durham explains, the health department's complaint stated that sewage and gray water, wastewater from bathtubs and sinks, were being disposed of on the ground and posed a danger to the general public's health. That'd be the general public where? And who exactly has brought suit against these 14 families for damages to their own property or water? Oh yeah, that's right. That would be nobody. In fact, this is all about the state, the omnipotent state and their codes, as in government commands ruling over how people peacefully use what's supposed to be their own private property. The county health code prohibits sewage from being discharged on the ground. Water supply systems must be constructed to provide, quote, potable water which will not endanger the health of the user, end quote, and can meet the demands of all users, according to the code. Do these county authorities think that these Amish families are suicidal or something? They have been living in this tradition for centuries, and no one in the region has sued them. Yet now, these unobtrusive folks are forced to join forces with modern lawyers. They have to endure journalist photography and video recording, which they really don't approve of, and they have to take time away from their livelihoods to keep their homes and religion free from government predation. Phil Mayer, senior staff attorney for the ACLU of Michigan, said the demands from the county ask the Amish to compromise their way of life. No one should have to choose between their faith and having their homes destroyed and being rendered homeless. But that's the choice the county is attempting to foist on this community, he said. And thanks to some of us here at MRC TV and to some of you folks who tip us off to some of these stories and share these stories with friends, we get to talk about what's happening in this county in Michigan. We get to talk about the fact that these people are being attacked by the government, that their private property and religious rights are being undermined by these so-called preemptive codes from the county, which also lets us learn a little something about these codes and private property. They mean that you don't really own your private property. If you're prohibited from peacefully using what is supposed to be yours, is it really yours? And then, of course, there's this final point about land use codes and other fines that the government might levy against peaceful people. Those are really corruptions of the medieval concept of tort law. Tort law from medieval times is the idea that an individual who thought that he or she had been damaged or his or her property had been damaged could go to court and ask for compensation in front of a jury. Now, the key here is you have to be a person and you have to be found by the court to have actually had some damages brought against you. But the state is not a person. And as such, the state can't really make a justified tortious claim for damages because no real person has been harmed. All the fines, all those regulations and codes are actually, in the modern day, really not tortious claims at all. They're attempts to extract wealth from people and to control other people's lives. And of course, that's just not fair. It's not ethical. No one's been harmed, and yet the state goes after these people. In this case, the county in Michigan. So, best of luck to the people in Lenawee County, and good job to the ACLU to protect these property rights. It's nice to see them doing that in this case. And thank you, everyone, for joining me here to look into this contemporary story and draw some historical lessons from the story, even as we wish the best to those people. And by the way, if you're wondering about my incredible threads, well, you might have seen some of the folks from MRC-TV wearing these awesome outfits. Mine is, of course, In Search of Real News. Yes, indeed, with the fantastic UFO flying saucer on it. How cool can you get? And if you would like to grab one for yourself, just go to MRC-store and you can get one for yourself and for a very cool friend. And of course, you can let other people know that maybe the pop media is not to be trusted. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Happy holidays. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.